Hi and welcome to Pernillaskreativa. I'm Pernilla, and in this video I'm going to show you how to knit a hat for beginners. To knit this hat you'll need a pair of circle needles in the size of 4mm and a length of 40 centimeters. You will need a yarn that fits with the size of your needles. You will need a needle with a large eye, and you will also need a scissor. Before we start knitting our hat, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the size and the amount of stitches we're going to cast on. I'm going to cast on 92 stitches plus one extra, and with the size of my needles and the yarn I'm using, I get a hat that fits my head that measures 57 centimeters. And even if you have the exact same size of your needles as I have, and the exact same yarn as I have, and the same head size as I have, you might get a different size on your hat, because we knit differently, so you can knit harder or looser than I do, and that affects the size of your hat. Therefore, you might have to adjust the numbers of stitches, and if you do, keep in mind that the number of stitches must be able to divide with 4, and that's because we do a 2x2 rib knit at the beginning. So with that said, we can start casting on for our hat. To start knitting our hat, we will need to cast on some stitches, and I'm going to use the long tail cast on. And to make sure I have enough yarn to cast on like this, I'm going to start with wrapping my yarn around the needle as many times as stitches needed. And in my case, I'm going to cast on 92 stitches plus one extra. So here you can see I have wrapped my yarn around the needle 93 times, and now I can just pull the yarn off the needle and make sure I keep in mind where the last wrap was, because here is where we're gonna start casting on, so we have enough yarn to cast on with. So I'm just gonna pull it off. So now when we have enough yarn to do the cast on, we're gonna start casting on. So we're gonna take our yarn and put it between these fingers, around our thumb and down here, and make sure that this end goes to the yarn ball and this end goes to the end of the yarn. So your grip gonna be like this. And now we can start casting on, and we take one of the needles and put it behind the yarn, pull the yarn forward so you get the needle in front of this thread, then up through the thumb, and then bring the upper yarn back through the thumb and pull. And the first time you do this, you're going to end up with 2 stitches added on the needle. The next time you're not going to put your needle behind, but instead in front of the yarn up here, and then go forward in front of this thread, up, and bring back through the thumb and pull. And as you see, this time it just added 1 extra stitch to the needle. So again, forward, up, bring and pull. Forward, up, bring and pull. And now I'm just gonna do this till I get the amount of stitches needed. So in my case, as I said before, 92 plus 1 extra. And when we have our amount of stitches, I'm gonna show you why we need that extra one. So keep casting on, and then I'm gonna show you how to start knit on your hat. So before we can start knitting, we're gonna make sure that we haven't twisted the yarn anywhere around our needle. And when I say twisted, I mean like the yarn had twisted like this. And yeah, if you start knitting with a twist, you're not gonna be able to make it to a hat. So make sure and look all the way around your needles so you can see that there are no twists going on. And then we can start knitting. So we're gonna start with putting over the last stitch in front of the first stitch, and this is because we're gonna join it together to a circle directly. You can just knit a whole row and then join it together, but I don't think it gets as even and nice edge as joining it together direct to a circle. So I'm gonna put this one over, and then I'm gonna knit this last one and this first one together with a knit. And a knit is basically just go through the stitch, in this case through both. This can be a bit tight to knit both together, but I believe in you, you can manage it. So go through both stitches and then grab the yarn and pull it back through the stitches and then pull it off. And since we're gonna do a 2x2 rib knit, I'm gonna do one knit again. So go through the stitch, grab the yarn and bring it back and off. Then I'm gonna do 2 purl stitches, and when I do purls I'm gonna put the yarn in front of the needle, take the other needle and go behind and through the stitch, grab the yarn and pull it back and off. So in front of the needle, go behind, grab the yarn and back and off. So now I've made 2 knits and 2 purls. Then I'm gonna do 2 more knits and 2 more purls, and so on, so on, so on, till we have made it all the row around. And then I just keep doing knits over knits and purls over purls till I have about 5 centimeters in height. And then I'm gonna show you how to keep knitting the hat without doing the 2x2 rib knit, because the rib knit is just the edge of the hat. So I'm gonna keep doing my knits and purls. When we're done with our rib knit, we're gonna start to a stockinette instead. And since we're knitting it in a round, we're only gonna do knit stitches. Otherwise, when you do a stockinette stitch, you knit stitches on the front and purl stitches on the back. But yeah, since we're doing it in a round, we always knit the front, so we only need to do knit stitches. So we keep doing our knit stitches to get a stockinette stitch, and we're gonna knit till the hat measures from the bottom to the top 20 centimeters. And then I'm gonna show you how to start decrease so we can finish the top of our hat. Now we're gonna start decrease our stitches, and to decrease we take 2 stitches and knit them together with a knit stitch. So go through 2 stitches and knit it as a knit stitch. And we keep doing this to every stitch around and around until we have just about 10 stitches left. And when we just have 10 stitches left, I'm gonna show you how to do the last thing to finish your hat. So I'm just gonna do a little input here, because when you have quite a few stitches left on your needle, it can be a bit hard to decrease. So a way to make it easier is just pull your circle needle out like this, and you can keep knitting without it being so tight. So if you start feeling it's too tight to knit, just pull the thread of your circle needle out like this, and it will be easier to keep decreasing your stitches. Now I only have 10 stitches left, so I will take my scissor and cut the yarn, and I will take my needle with the big eye and put the yarn on it, and then I'm gonna start pulling off the stitches from my circle needles and put them on my needle instead. So I will go through every stitch on the circle needle. Then I'm gonna close the top by pulling, as you can see, and then I'm gonna take my needle and just do a seam up here to really close it, and then I'm gonna take my needle and the thread inside the hat, and then I'm gonna attach the end of the yarn on the inside of the hat, and I'm just gonna do it a little bit like this a few times, front and back. Yeah, something like this will do. And I'm gonna cut the thread, and then I just have to attach this end as well. And I'm just doing it a little bit like this. So that will do. And now I'm done with my hat. And if you think this video was helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and please tell me in the comment if you successfully made your own hat with help of this video. And also remember to subscribe for more step-by-step instruction videos.